culture. Classic pop culture.
Thank you, Joe Mandica, Australia's gift to the world of pop music. Joe is the writer, producer, and performer of our classic pop culture theme song, and Joe is a true friend of the show. And speaking of true friends of the show, how are you all doing? Welcome back to Planet Ludwig. You have landed safely and peacefully, and here we are. Show number 172, and we are celebrating one of the coolest new animated series to come along in a while, END TITUS. Episode 1 premieres on Halloween, and we have as our guest on this edition of Steve Ludwig's Classic Pop Culture, END TITUS creator, writer, and director, Delmar Burkett, as well as voiceover actress, Kathleen Black, who voices the character of Jasmine, and our friend, Solomon Chertok, making his third appearance on our show. Solomon does the voice of Robert in END TITUS. Now, Delmar and Solomon will join us in the first segment via Zoom, and Catherine joins me right after that via telephone. So, let's lead into our first segment with a very cool promo for END TITUS, and then we'll talk with Delmar and Solomon.
I am Titus, and right now I am dead. But when my soldiers finally awaken me, I will gain all power and become the ruler of this world.
Well, not if we have anything to say about it. You guys ready to get this show on the road?
I don't know. I mean, are we really ready for this fight?
We have to be ready! The fate of the world may very well rest in our hands!
Well, if you put it that way, then let's get to it.
I will win this battle, Carlavon.
You may win a battle, Titus, but you will definitely lose the war.
END TITUS. How about that promo? And I am joined right now with its creator, writer, director, actor, voiceover artist, the man himself, Delmar Burkett. Delmar, welcome to the show.
How you doing? Thanks for having me.
Well, it's a pleasure to have you on. And our returning champion, who has been on the show a couple of times. The last time, Solomon, I think it was show 155. Oh my gosh, what a great show that is. Check it out, everybody, on the guest list to get back and listen to Solomon. But Solomon himself, writer, director, actor, producer, voiceover artist of the main character in END TITUS, Robert. Once again, back on the show, the great Solomon Chertok. Solomon, welcome back, brother.
It's good to be back here on Planet Ludwig. Yeah.
That's it. You guys have landed safely and peacefully at Planet Ludwig. So welcome to the show. So Delmar, I'll tell you, the animated END TITUS is actually based on something previous, a live action. You want to just give us a little background to END TITUS's history?
Yeah, so back in 2008, 2009, as when I kind of came up with the creation of END TITUS, myself and my stepbrother, which is Henry Royster, he actually did the main character Charles, and he also did some of the music and everything for it. But yeah, it started back then. I've always been into some of the old school cartoon stuff, back in the 80s stuff, and trying to reveal my age too much, but well,
Hey, you
but
called it old school in the 80s. That's new to me, Delmar.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
how far back I go. So it's all relative.
So it's your classic villain who wants all the power, who wants to rule the world, type of thing. And and then you got two guys who are gonna try to stop that. This guy wants to rule the world, he wants all the people, all of the demand, and you have two guys.
That's Titus.
And Titus, yep, that's his name, Titus. And and they're gonna try to stop Titus, gonna try to end Titus. And so it started back then. Two seasons. First season is kind of an introductory thing, and the second season was actually bringing everyone together, actually bringing in some new characters on that, and just putting everyone together, and just trying to go out there, have some action, got some adventure going on. And this new one is, like I said, it's a reboot, and it's actually a little bit better, I think, because it's actually done in a way that I wanted it done. I couldn't really, using props and things like that, prop guns and everything, it was it's an independent thing. So we had to really be careful, locations and the things that we used on set with that. But with this being animated, man, I can pretty much go all the way. I can have the story how I originally wanted it in the first place.
That's the beauty of animation, isn't it, Delmar? You can pretty much whatever you want to do can be done. Yeah.
Right.
Solomon, your character, Robert. How about a little thumbnail?
There we go. I printed this out here, the poster. And Robert, I believe, is this one right here.
Robert's got the black. Very good job printing out this. Very good media visual aids here.
There you go. There's Robert right over here.
And that's Titus up top there. There's Titus. Charles.
And Jasmine.
Kathleen Black, who we're going to hear from after this in the second segment. But tell us a thumbnail about what Robert's up to.
Robert.
Or who he is. Now, I'm sorry to interrupt. I know we're going to have to speak in tongues here because we can't give too much away. Catherine and I were very careful. I recorded my interview audience with Catherine yesterday. We'll be hearing that afterwards. But we were very careful. We were tiptoeing around the plot. So when we talk in codes, that's why. So what can you tell us, Solomon?
He's basically a character that, to me, the audience can easily identify with because they're going on this journey with him. And he's like the everyman in a sense, that he's kind of the classic hero that goes on the hero's journey, like Frodo in Lord of the Rings, Luke Skywalker in Star Wars, and Neo in Matrix. He goes on this hero's journey. And basically, when we find him, he's somebody that people can identify in a sense that he's worked so hard, he's very intelligent, he's smart, he wants to be like a perfectionist, but at times it doesn't come off well. And he's in a job that he's basically not treated very well, as we see in the very first episode. His boss disrespects him, doesn't appreciate him, and he's trying to also fix his relationship with his girlfriend, and basically he just feels like he was meant for better. And I think so many people can identify with that, where they're stuck doing something they don't want to do, and they always keep thinking they were meant for something much more than what they're doing. And that's what Robert feels.
There's a lot of commonality in that, and many of us can relate to that. Before we go too much further, Delmar, might be a good time to give us a little background of those who weren't familiar with the live action and Titus. What exactly is this like? How does Robert and Charles and Jasmine, what's the story basically about?
Well, I don't know if a lot of people have ever seen The Mummy, and the character, the mummy actually, comes back to life after a lot of twists and turns. You can see a lot of things that's happening, around them to bring the mummy to life. Well, Titus and there's another Indian character in there, Carlavan, and they kind of go back. They actually have their own history, so to speak. And in Titus, he's more like like a pirate, but he comes off at the end as a warlock, and so, them two were friends, them two were helping each other out back then, Titus and Carlovan, where something happens, and in between their friendship, there's a girl, and you get a girl, two guys who likes one girl, there's gonna be some, it's gonna be some fighting there.
There's your classic triangle. Triangle.
Yeah. So basically there's kind of a war that kind of brings about that this girl Jasmine is in the center of. Okay. And throughout the plot, you have these diamonds, or these, what I want to call these stones, and these stones are they're really powerful, really powerful stones. And so the power that is based on these stones is what Titus is getting all the power from, or actually wants the power from. So not to give too much away, but it's kind of centered around that. It's kind of centered around these enchanted stones. And this is actually what Titus comes about. So in Titus is basically based on Titus coming back. He wants to rule. And you have, like, again, at the beginning, I said, you have these two guys who are enchanted with powers that are given to them long ago, generations and generations ago, to stop the present, what's going on at the present time. And so Titus, he kind of makes this vow before he dies. It says, hey, this world is coming to, when this world comes to an end, or when it seems like it's coming to an end, the negative energy or the negative spirits is going to interject with today's times people, who are down on their luck, who, have bad times, anything that intercedes with them, not making it in life, they're feeling down, depressed, or whatever. These soldiers are going to interject and come about Titus's army. Okay. And so Titus's army going to interject, and they have one mission, and their mission is to find Titus. And so Carlovan, he kind of foreseen this, he kind of foresees the future. And so what he does, he's kind of bringing about his own characters to stop to stop Titus's army for whatever they're going to do in the future.
The idea, Delmar, is to do one per month, one of 9 episodes per month. Is that pretty much what you have in?
Yes, that is correct. Yes.
Okay. So each month, and Solomon, myself, Delmar, you'll be seeing it on your social media what's coming up next. Now, Solomon, I have a question for you as an actor. Do you prefer voiceover acting, or do you prefer to be in front of the camera acting, or is it equal to you? Do you like both of them, but for maybe different reasons? What do you find harder? Let's put it that way.
They're both actually, I say they're equal in a sense. I love both. But each one is a challenge in itself. And that's the one thing I love. With END TITUS, the one big challenge for me as an actor, I've kind of mentioned this on the show last time, was when I'm doing voiceover, this is all pre-pandemic, I always did the voiceover, recorded it in person wherever the director was, whether a studio or wherever he's doing the editing. So basically, I would be in the same spot as where the director is, where he's giving me the direct feedback, that's great, redo this line. Here, since we're recording it from our homes, all the lines, I don't have that in a sense. So that's a big challenge, not having Delmar right here with me saying, great job, I look good with this line, try this line again, say it a little more tougher, meaner, Instead, I get the delayed react. That's the one thing that's the challenge, is the delayed response, where you get the response, but it comes a couple, maybe hours later or a day or so later. You're not getting it directly, and that's the one thing.
So Delmar, let's get with it, huh? Get back to Solomon quicker than that, for God's sake.
Sorry, Solomon. This COVID thing is it's got us all kind of, out the way with this.
The only one. A lot of them are like that too, for each voiceover that I've done, where it's like,
Oh yeah, you can't get right back. Of course, yeah.
One thing that I kind of missed from doing voiceovers where everybody was there in person and we're recording right there and I get the direct feedback. But it's ever since with last year, it's always the delayed feedback. And as an actor, you're always wanting to know, like, did I get it right? Did I get it right?
Mhm.
Did I go wrong? Then it's like, oh, I have to redo this again. I got to get back into that emotion of it. But to me, it's all fun and it's really wonderful, especially when you do a voice for an animated character, because your voices bring that character to life.
And
Mhm.
you've done a great job.
Like when I saw that first episode, I was like, I couldn't believe that's my voice on that animated character of Robert, and it brought him to life. And I'll never forget, I showed it to my niece the first episode, and she's 6 years old now. At the time, she was 5 years old, but she had this look on her face like the whole time she thought it was good, but she was a little disappointed, and she was like, "Uncle, I'm a little disappointed." So I said, "What's wrong?" So she said, "Well, you weren't Superman or Batman or Spider-Man," because she's expecting me to be,
Tell
like,
your niece the series is not over yet. We have plenty. I have to
thing
give
she
mate.
probably did was the Elmo film beforehand.
Oh
so
right, yeah.
excited, even though she shouldn't have seen that one because that was more R-rated. But she was more excited when you're doing a voice to a character that she recognizes.
Solomon was an evil Elmo, Delmar, in case you
First
another film.
I'd see that evil Elmo. Oh boy.
Elmo, which is on YouTube. But the thing is, it's not really for kids, but because she ended up seeing it, which that's another story. But she liked it in that sense, and she looks at me now like, "Oh, that's Elmo. My uncle is Elmo." So that's why she would have gotten more excited if it was like Superman, Batman.
Mhm.
She loved the anime. She was like blown away, like.
I have to give Delmar major props because there is so much cool action, excitement, but you're also really invested in the characters, Delmar. To me, that's what makes anything worthwhile. You care about Robert, you care about Charles, you care about Jasmine. I mean, you're wondering, how did Titus get so bad? And Delmar, just a wonderful job of writing. I really, really, really appreciate your writing.
Well, I appreciate that. And you mentioned that you play a character as well in the series. So yes.
I'm not even going to say it's a secondary character. I'm probably the most important character in the story.
You got it.
My nose is growing like Pinocchio, everybody. No, I want to thank you guys so much. I mean, through Solomon and Delmar, I play a character called the Fixer.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And okay, elephant in the room. Delmar, I know the Fixer is getting knocked off. You're going to kill me off. You can tell me now. I'm a dead man walking. You can't give it up, but I'm telling you, well, I've made it. I'm not going to give anything up. Anyway, I'm just being like, I'm being a dope as usual. Fixer is
Fixer's really great. He has the brains of the thing. He's one of the smarter characters, but at the same time, he's a little bit more sensitive. So we have to watch that with him.
But it's been such a blast. I was talking to Delmar before we started, Solomon, and I went up quite a few points in my nephew's books, because I showed them one of the episodes. Mm-hmm. Oh, cool, Uncle Steve. So Delmar, I owe you big time.
Oh yeah. Everything's coming together pretty good. And
we got to get the action figures to come out. Then the Fixer action figure.
or video game. We have an END TITUS video game.
Exactly. The merchandising, that's where it's all at. The t-shirt, the action figures, the video games.
Right. Yeah. Delmar, you do some voicing in the series as well.
Yeah, a little bit. I figure, since I was in the live action, right. There's a couple little characters I've always kind of want to play. Always, the boss, the big man, and I've always actually wanted to play the villain too of something. So I say, you know what, this might be my opportunity to kind of like voice one of these villains in here, and just kind of give it a whirl and see how it sounds, So I really enjoyed it. I loved it.
You know what's cool? I'm going to ask Solomon because he's a fellow character on the show. Solomon, do you would you rather know what happens all the way through with your character, or I'll tell our audience we learn each new episode. Like, we don't know what's going to happen either. Would you prefer to know the whole scope, the whole arc of your character, Solomon, or are you enjoy it more when you see what's happening each new episode?
That's a tough call because in a way it's good to know like where is your character going from beginning, middle to end. So this way you know exactly how it's being, it's being shaped in that sense. But at the same time, not knowing is actually very fun because it always, and that's the one thing I've said with, is this going to happen in this next episode? Because it's so exciting. And the one thing that I love with this series is this really feels like those old-fashioned serials going back from like the 40s, and especially as I mentioned,
cliffhangers.
So the old Batman Adam West TV show, where it basically almost each episode ends with tune in next week, same bat time, same bat channel.
Yes.
You have to go, watch. Or one of my favorite TV shows, 24 with Kiefer Sutherland, where that one literally ended on such a cliffhanger that you have to tune in next week. What's gonna happen? What's gonna happen? Yeah. And it literally, this show really feels like it pays homage to that because almost each episode ends in a cliffhanger. Like, holy cow! I have to see what happens next.
Yeah, and it's all to Delmar's credit.
I appreciate it.
You email us the script, Delmar, and it's like, oh, cool. What's gonna happen? What's gonna happen? It's like,
and it's funny because they're already pre-written, all the scripts are already written out, but the thing is, I kind of go back through them and sometimes I change things, I edit it, and this was actually supposed to be before I even started END TITUS VDM, it was actually supposed to be a reboot of the live series, but ended up changing it around because when COVID hit, we couldn't do that. And so I had to change the original scripts that I had to match something that will work animated. And so, because there are both some things that I wanted to do live that, I couldn't really do animated and vice versa, and so, there's definitely, when I actually read the pre-written script, I say, okay, well, this is not going to work because it was supposed to be live, especially with, facial expressions and things of that nature. You said, well, I can't really do that, so I have to change it in a way that'll work for something that's animated and, comic book. So definitely every time I send a script, it's not the original version. It's always pre-edited. And then after that, and I appreciate Solomon and AJ sometimes, they catch, some things that's written on the script and say, well, was Robert actually meant to say it this way? Or, or was Charles actually meant to say it this way? And I said, you know what, you're right. Let me change this around and say, no, can you do it this way? So, because again, those were sometimes there was already pre-written. So, I have to change things around to make it work for the animation.
Yeah, and there's your value of a good voiceover actor like Solomon and AJ and Catherine. Because like you said, animation, you can't really get that facial expression as well as live action. So it's got to come out in the voice.
Right,
too.
Exactly.
And so you guys, Solomon, you do just a bang up job, really.
Yeah. One thing I was going to say is when he sends the script and you also send the panels, the
storyboards.
Panels, the storyboard. So this way it gives us an idea of what it's going to look like. But the thing is, as soon as I see that and as soon as I get the script, I then concentrate onto the script because to me, I try, even though I have the script right in front of me, I try to learn the lines in a sense, kind of like when I'm recording it, I'm trying to do it like as if it was live action, meaning to try to make it sound natural. Like if this was being done live action, how would it sound? How would it feel in that sense? And to me, Delmar, you've done the one thing I love, two things. One, the casting on with every single voice, because especially with AJ who plays Charles, and we're not in the same room.
Right.
Because with the first episode, I had no idea what he would sound like, what anybody, because a good bulk of the scenes I have is usually with his. And the thing
Yeah.
is, we're not in the same room when we're recording. So
Right.
in the first episode, I had no clue what he would sound like. And I had to imagine in my head, what is everybody going to sound like? What is he going to sound like?
Mhm.
And the thing was, after seeing the first episode, hearing what his voice sounded like, that was very helpful to me come episode 2 and 3 and 4, when I'm recording, like, oh, I know what he sounds like. I've got that voice in my head. I know how to play off of him in that sense, even though he's not actually there. And the one thing that I love with this series is that there's kind of this chemistry between Charles and Robert that kind of pays homage to those classic, like recently, like you've got those buddy cop films, like the Bad Boys series with Will Smith and Martin Lawrence, that chemistry, or the Eddie Murphy, Nick Nolte, 48 Hours chemistry, or even Mel Gibson and Danny Glover, the Lethal Weapon chemistry, because Charles and Robert have that chemistry, and that's the one thing I think audiences are going to love, is that chemistry between the two of them, because they're kind of yin and yang in a sense, in terms of like Robert.
Great duo. Yeah.
They're growing. They're definitely growing on each other. I think Robert is really trying to step up to the plate where Charles is. Charles always comes off as this kind of playboy type of guy, and so and Robert, he's really straightforward, and Solomon does a great job as giving Robert that look like, okay, well, I'm gonna take this seriously, but AJ's has Robert or Charles being this just kind of like, don't worry about it type, well, it'll get done, you'll take care of it. But they both come together, when it comes to really take care of business, when it comes to, getting these spuds, and really battling it out. And so it's really interesting how their characters are coming together.
Yeah, and Delmar, the way you wrote it, like you mentioned, Charles is kind of a playboy, easygoing kind of guy, and Robert, as I'm not giving too much away, but as you mentioned, Solomon, in the first episode, you kind of have your little shaky ground with your girlfriend, so it's like, like you said, yin and yang. It's it's almost polar opposites to start off. And Delmar, the way you have them coming together and working together is just brilliant.
Oh, I appreciate it. Thank you. It's a lot of fun. It's fantasy. We're just having a lot of fun with this. And I appreciate all the actors who doing Solomon, AJ, Catherine, and you of course, and. We have some new characters that are, coming up, each little episode, we have some characters. And I wanted to also, with this new END TITUS, is really kind of give the bad guys, the spuds a little bit more of a lift. Because before in the live version, they're, the demon stuff, they'll kind of be there for a split second, then they're gone, and so as the audience will see in the upcoming episodes, some of the demons or spuds, as we call them, they kind of have their own little history for a little bit, and that's what kind of makes it more interesting.
I wanted to, I wrote down, if you don't mind, too, Delmar, I do want to mention some of the other actors and actresses that are doing voiceovers.
Yes.
Now, if I forgot any of them, Solomon, Delmar, pick me up, but we have Deanna Day.
Yeah.
Bettina Sky. Bettina was on the show, as a matter of fact. Hi, Bettina. Claudia Nguyen. I hope I pronounced her last name right. Yeah. Dave DeSicco. Who am I leaving out? I mentioned Delmar.
Who's playing Ranger Monica?
Yes. She's new, coming up.
Yeah. Who's your animator, Delmar?
It's a guy called Pedro Musa from Indonesia, and so and so our time is kind of different from when he able to animate it versus when I get it, but he's awesome. He's really awesome. And then I have another guy, Dominic Hurst, who's also actually drew that the END TITUS book there, the title there. and he's really good. He's really great animation there. So yeah, so I want to play my compliments to them too. They've been doing a great work with this series.
After this segment, guys, as I mentioned in my intro, we're going to be talking with Kathleen Black. She plays Jasmine. So, guys, listen, I can't thank you enough. And I have got you guys with a firm commitment. You'll come back mid-season, and we'll kind of catch up and then look forward to the rest of it.
Yes, thank you. Yes.
And guys, stay tuned. We have Kathleen Black coming up right now. Thank you, Solomon. Thank you, Delmar. You guys are the best.
Thank you. END TITUS, you guys. Halloween.
END TITUS. Take care. And as promised, we are now joined by the voice of Jasmine in END TITUS, the award-winning actress, and what a pleasure it is to welcome her to classic pop culture, Ms. Kathleen Black. Kathleen, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Steve. It's so great to come here.
I'll tell you, it's funny because I have a minor part, the fixer, and I finally get to speak with the real person who voices Jasmine. You've done voiceover before. I saw on your IMDb page, correct?
Of course, that is correct.
What do you prefer? Do you prefer performing in front of the camera? As you know, as not I want to say regular actress, because it's certainly not just a regular job, but or do you prefer voiceover, or do you like both equally?
I would have to say I like both equally because they're so different but so great at the same time. Like when I do voiceover, it's like, okay, I could just wear regular clothes, but not try to get too comfortable, but still try to be in character and stuff. And also you get to have your own imagination while you're reading the script with the microphone, but performing. And then when you're on camera, like you're in costume, you're on set, you're on location, you're meeting people with the other actors, and not just actors, but crew also.
Yeah, they're two completely different entities, or I don't want to say monsters, but in a good sense. They do seem to have their own lives, don't they? The voiceover artist and the in front of camera actress.
Oh yes, and especially like you can learn something what you can work on. Like if I'm working on some voiceovers, I go, okay, I gotta learn how to stand still, not try to move around and not make any noise background when I move. So when I do that, I go, okay, I gotta learn to do that when I'm on camera.
Yes, yes, yeah. What?
So that's what I learned.
Yeah. Now, we spoke just earlier, just before, with Delmar and with Solomon. And by the way, listeners, I mentioned this to you also, but the voice of Charles, AJ Velasquez, will be joining us actually in a few months. We're going to have the cast back on, so you will get to speak with AJ, everybody. But did you, Kathleen, get to see what Jasmine looked like before you began your voiceover for the show? For the END TITUS?
Oh God, yes. When I saw her and I'm like, how she looks, I look completely different. How she looks, very, very different because like she's more tropical skin tone and red hair, but mostly tropical skin tone because I'm the completely opposite because I'm more pasty or more pale compared to her. I'm more pale compared to her, I have to say. I remember when I was a teenager, I tried so hard to get a tan. I remember trying so hard to get a tan, like lying down for a few hours. Even if I went to California for 1 week, or to one time I went to Cancun, Mexico at age 16 and for a week, and zero zipple of no tan. No tan, because I remember trying so hard because people say when they get back from sunny side vacations, they get tanned. But I go, but well, I have a little bit, but then it fades away after I get back.
Who are these people?
So it's just like reasons like, okay, I give up. And then I just found out now. Actually, I went to South Korea 2 years ago for 1 week, and pasty pale skin is a big thing over there.
Yeah.
It's a very big thing over there. It's their type of tan that they all want to have. And I go, oh, I guess I should be happy about this.
Yeah, I should stop complaining, right?
Everyone has these completely different choices. But if I'm living in California right now, I don't think I would fit in with my pale, pasty skin at all.
Well, I'll tell you.
Jasmine can. Jasmine can fit in right away.
It's a testament to how wonderful of an actor you are, because your character of Jasmine, as you said, is not much like you as a person, but boy, I'll tell you, Catherine, that is a great character that you've created with your voice.
Thanks, yeah.
How would you describe the character? I mean, people haven't seen the show yet. How would you describe Jasmine?
Well, I would say she's kind of like cutesy, badass, who doesn't take no for an answer.
Yeah. We talked just for a few seconds before we started the interview, and I put it in air quotes, but Jasmine to me is a tough chick.
Oh, yes, she definitely is. And she hates when people judge her, and she just gets right to it and does their job. And nope, she's not focusing on dating guys right now.
Right. And she takes no crap from anybody.
Oh, yeah. That I can relate to because I had that problem. So I just added that character of her from my own kind of experience.
Ah, okay. You had trouble saying no to people asking favors and things?
Yeah, I took a little bit, but then mostly I get to that little not like a little, like sort of a little rebel, like who definitely takes no for an answer. Like they tell me this I can't or can't do, and I just really want to shove them right on their face.
Yeah, good for you. It's more motivation.
Yes.
Yeah. Now, when you get your script, how many times, on the average, do you need to go through it and practice it until you say, okay, I think I nailed it. I think I can send this one into Delmar.
Oh, yeah. Sometimes it does take time. Like, well, first what I do is before, like, I read the script first so I can get the understanding of the whole environment. And then I do these little bit of, like, character breakdowns, more they called script analysis, on my character, on Jasmine, on what I'm doing. And I put down, like, her core, her happiness, question, and a substitution to add a better prep and saying, okay, now, all right, I'm in my moment, time to record, I got to do this. And then I just read it out loud very slowly so I could get comfortable with the words. And then I say it naturally with my own normal voice. And then after that, I start to use the cutesy Jasmine character type voice that I usually do. And then I actually voice record myself to make sure my words are clean and clear and more smooth. And then after that, if I think it's right, and I go, okay, now it's time to record. Okay, time for me to record right now, since look like I'm all good. And that's how I do it. And then after recording, when I hear it and I go, okay, now that is the right one. Okay, let me keep that one. And I do the next take and I go, okay, something went wrong. Let me do this again and then again. And okay, this is good. Third one. Okay, I like this one. Or fourth one. All right. Okay, 4 takes. That's enough. Let's see how he likes it when I send it to him.
It is a real process you go through.
Oh, yes. But yes, you have to be like really quick and fast. So if it needs to be really, really quick or I have somewhere to go, okay, all right, I just got to do this right away. Imagine I'm having a conversation, but yes, there's script lines, but I need to imagine having that conversation. That's the thing when you learn about on camera is like learning to have a conversation with being off book. If you can do that, I need to try to do that with the script also. With voiceover.
Yeah. Now, when you get the script, or if you had your choice, would you rather know what's going to happen to Jasmine's future, to your character's future? Because really, when we get the script, we just know up to that point what happens. Or would you just prefer to find out when you receive the script, okay, here's what happens to Jasmine this month? Or do you want to know the whole story? Would you rather know the whole story?
For me, like
For
everyone
you.
else,
Yeah.
I would like to be surprised. Just like everything like you see in TV shows, you get that unexpected, like what's going to happen next. So I'm sure it's the same thing from actors when they get their script, doing an episode to another episode, to be really surprised of what's going to happen. And I like that because I go, oh, so this is what it feels like, just like I'm watching TV shows on what's going to happen next.
Yeah, and I guess when you think about it, I mean, in real life, we don't know what's going to happen. You know, we have plans, but plans don't always work out. So, in a sense, the way you receive your script is, real time, real life.
Yeah, so I think it adds the more excitement on what's going to happen. I mean, what's going to happen in there, or like, oh, what's going to happen? I want to know what happens next. Give me the other script. Give me the other script right now. Hope you make it very soon because I like this one. So it keeps me excitement of what's going to happen next.
Right. Yeah. Now, Catherine, I mentioned this to our audience before with Solomon and Delmar. The episode 1 premieres Halloween, and it's going to be 1 episode per month. So we're going to get back to END TITUS in a few minutes. But my goodness, Catherine, you have had, I mean, I looked at your IMDb page. You are one busy, it seems nonstop working actress.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah, it's been like that. Yes.
I mean, one aspect, you probably come home from a day on set and you're like, oh boy, but thank heavens you're a working actress, correct?
I would say pretty much, yeah, but let's say but I'm sure I like when it to add more things, to add more experiences of what I do.
My gosh, it would take me a half hour just to read your filmography here, but what can you tell us, recently, what you've been working on?
Well, to tell you the truth, haven't been on camera for almost years right now because of COVID.
Yeah.
And it's still going on. So I have had a pause moment not to be on set from this situation. But it doesn't mean I have gone away. I have done around so much this year while being safe, which is called a new thing called virtual theater. You must have heard about that.
Yes, I have.
Yeah, so far I've done about...
For those who haven't heard of it, maybe you can just quickly explain.
Mm-hmm. For virtual theater, it's just yes, we are doing theater and performing, using Zoom and things like that. And what you do is it's like theater, but just on the computer, on the laptop.
Right.
That's what people are doing. So when I'm doing this during our COVID safety, it's kind of like, yes, you're performing as an actor, but you're also kind of your own film crew, knowing when to stop and when to start when you come in, finding out your cues before coming in. After you're done, you clock out.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of thing.
Yeah.
But also, not just that, but also, if they want to have a virtual background, they need to have a green screen behind you and having, lighting effects to make your place look brighter and look like you're really ready for being on set. Yeah,
my goodness, wow. There's just so much that goes into all aspects of filming.
But it's a great kind of a new experience learning because you're still being on camera but doing a bit of theater at the same time.
Yeah.
And so far I have done about 11 already.
Oh my heavens! Wow.
Yes, one of them I just started back in 2020 on a Christmas virtual show. It's called A Virtual Christmas Carol. And then the rest of them I did 2 one-act plays in virtual. And things can be different because sometimes they do it live because sometimes there's some technical issues, which let me tell you, it happens a lot. If there's technical issues, then you have to do a bit of improvisation for if something goes wrong. And sometimes they like to film it. And after filming it, they put it on, putting it all completion and edit it and just put it in the laptop and have the showtime on that day while it's already recorded. Mm-hmm. So people have these different views of how they want to do it.
I was checking out some of your reels on IMDb and on YouTube, and you're quite an athletic person too with a lot of your roles.
Athletic, yeah, that's what I've been doing because I've always been very physical. Like I like to work out like about 5 times a week.
Oh my gosh, God bless you.
Yeah, good thing you're saying that because some people go, "Whoa, that's too much." I'm like, well, if you want to be feeling good about yourself, you got to. And I hate sitting down all the time.
I think if it weren't working out for you, your body would tell you that.
Yeah, because it feels weird not to. Because I've been dancing. Lots of dance experiences before, and so far I've been on hiatus on some reality that hits you, like to get yourself a survival job and to save up money and stuff like that. But when I was on hiatus for dancing, so I just just did working out so I don't lose it.
Yeah. Now, just as I mentioned a few minutes ago, we were talking about, before we came on, started the interview, we were talking, between ourselves. Can you tell our audience, I guess I should have waited to ask you before, but how did you come up with the voice for Jasmine, getting back to END TITUS? How did you decide? I know how you, when you know it's right, you explain, but how, you know what I mean? How did you come up with that kind of Jasmine voice?
Well, because when I think of it, like she's always so cute and adorable, but she's still a young teenager, so I try to add like maybe a little high pitch in her voice to make it sound younger, but still a teenager who is starting to become like a woman at the same time.
I have, this doesn't just, my next question doesn't just refer to END TITUS, but really just as an actress in your career. Is it important for you to have a backstory about a character you're playing, or does it not matter?
I would say so, because it's better to have a backstory because then you understand your character more on what you're doing. Like your own type of backstory, like how this all happened. Well, for DB, he actually gave me a little bit of history about her, about like her family side, her history, and things like that. So, and she's like the next generation to have that after what happened. So that's what I try to do. Like, here's her, the next generation from her family, and she's not going to give up.
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it, Catherine? We almost have to talk in code. We don't want to give too much away with what's going on. But yeah, I mean, you explained it perfectly. When people see that first episode and when they see Jasmine, they'll know just what you mean there. Now, I mentioned in the intro that you're an award-winning actress. You won for supporting actress in The Full Expanse. I think it was in 2017. I think.
Oh my God, that's just so long ago.
Yeah, it seems like it, but that must be a nice feeling.
Oh God, yes, it's a very nice feeling because, like, yes, it's a sci-fi kind of a short film, so I just added like that little monologue on during that time, and also because my family side is very big about sci-fi, so I'm thinking because all that sci-fi in my family, I guess that's just how it happened.
It was meant to be.
I think it was just supposed to happen. Like, well, for me and my sci-fi geek side, I can't wait to see the movie Dune that is already out.
I know, right? Oh, and it's gotten good reviews. Had you seen the original Dune?
Oh, yes, I have. Like I said, like, oh, God, you're going to think of this is crazy because I have read the original Dune book, like, because my dad has the original one back in the 1960s, so, yeah. So I have read that book, and I read the other 2 books, and I already saw the movie. I saw the movie when I was 11 years old because my dad introduced me and my sister. Yes, I have a sister, and her name is Valda Black, and showing us the movie Dune of 1984 before telling us about the book. And then I've seen the sci-fi miniseries.
You were brought up correctly, Catherine.
So I am not spoiled at all about what's going to happen in the movie, and I just can't believe how it took generations to have this movie coming out to having great reviews. I'm hearing a lot of people saying great reviews on it.
Yeah.
I heard it's a big warning for non-readers that if they haven't read the book, they have to see the movie twice. And it's only the first half of the book.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. And it's funny because I know that I won't say always, it's never 100%, but many times the book offers so much more than the movie anyway. And not just with Dune, but with things in general, stories in general. So.
Oh
yeah.
my God, yes, because I definitely know when it comes to hardcore working on sci-fi, you really have to, yes, it's like heightened reality, but you need to be very futuristic to make people believe like you think this is actually going to happen in the future.
Mm-hmm.
So I try to add like the pull in there, like the futuristic of what's going to happen. Like I am actually there. This is what's going to happen in the future.
You must be over the moon being in END TITUS too.
END TITUS, oh my goodness, yes. Especially for a person who watches anime and reads manga, of course.
Yeah.
But like right now, like even from last night, like I'm in a theater called the Lewis Civic Theater right now, and where I play an ancestor ensemble in the Addams Family musical.
Oh, wow.
Yes, there is a musical. I remember it was on Broadway, of course. So it is real. So yes, Addams Family are singing. They are singing. But I liked it. It was like for me because like for my dancing background for the show, so it's adding some great things like doing some dancing again.
Oh, super. Oh, fantastic.
Yeah. So right now it's like me, it's like past 11 a.m. in the morning, and I have another show to do at 7:30 p.m. tonight,
and
then
Lord.
another one at 2 p.m. and then the next one would be the last week would be Thursday through Sunday during the big Halloween weekend.
Yeah, I can imagine. Oh, you guys are going to be so busy. A quick question: when the heck do you sleep, Catherine?
Oh, I do sleep. Like a few weeks ago. It's okay to say hell in here.
You can say any. Yes, hell is.
Okay.
Hell is actually encouraged.
Oh, sure. Because like back then, because like a few weeks ago for the first premiere, they would call Hell Week, where everything is like all intense of all this stage crew, tech rehearsal, run-throughs before the big day. But it's mostly like in the evening, mostly like 6 p.m. or 7 p.m. time over here. So it's not like the whole day to do it. But I have been on stage before, not just on camera, and it's been years since I've been on stage, and I went, oh my God, where have I been? It's been so long.
Did you miss it?
I would say, yeah, I pretty much like miss it. And for playing ensemble, it's like trying to have that nice feeling of baby steps to get myself back.
Yeah.
So it's not just on camera that's great, but also theater is great also. Being on stage, like being with the audience, so much energy. Like I say, so many different environments and so many things. Theater, you have to have so much energy, very full out. And for on camera, more being into it on yourself, like not to go over the top and things like that.
And
Voiceover is kind of like theater, I have to say, a bit of it, because you have to be like animation over the top and things like that. But yes, there are some parts that go like for serious ones to be more natural and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, but theater and voiceover are kind of similar, except the only thing in voiceover, you have to stand still, just like on camera.
Yeah. And well, theater, you get that instant feedback too from the audience. That's got to be a nice high.
Oh yes, I'm trying to know. Like for me, not in there. Like I think I remember like seeing the character Granny, like when she makes up these songs that like comes out of her head while she's up, you could hear the audience just cracking up.
That's great.
Yeah, cracking up. Or like here's one. Pugsley, when he's, you know, like how Pugsley just so into those little death traps, like him and his
right, yeah.
They're always like doing like oh yeah, just spoiler alert, like Wednesday is getting married.
Oh,
she's getting married.
Wow.
In the musical. Yes. And when Pugsley, well, he was like saying to Wednesday, like in the trap scene, he was saying like, Wednesday and Lucas sitting in the tree, K-I-L-L-I-N-Z.
Good one.
Yeah, and everyone is just cracks up in the room.
That's so
yeah,
perfectly Addams Family.
Yeah, so it's like perfect time, especially for perfect spooky season for coming out.
Yeah, absolutely. I visited your website, KatherineBlack.com, and I noticed that you have a speech disability, which acting has helped you overcome. I mean, that to me, that is such a real inspiration. Can you talk about that for a few minutes with us?
Yeah. Well, it's like speech and language disability. Well, it's like when a person has a hard time with their grammar and their sentences, like getting all mixed up and things that don't make sense. Especially like my big weakness is doing writing when I'm doing writing essays or writing cover letters, because when I write, I have to show it to somebody to make sure I've done it right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I've been struggling that. Like, I still struggle with it. It doesn't mean it's going to go away.
You've learned to deal with it, though, obviously.
Oh, yes. And let me tell you, sometimes the habit does come back, and I try to find myself back. So, yes, it's never perfect all the time. It's not like, a disease that has gone away, which is not true.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'll tell you, you are really an inspiration, because I never would have known, speaking with you, if I hadn't read it on your website.
Oh, my God. That's what I was about to say. Like, I hope everything was okay when I'm talking.
Yes, absolutely. I'm surprised I haven't messed up more than I normally do during an interview, but you're such a great guest. It's so easy to talk to you. So I just
Thanks.
give you so much credit, Catherine, for coming through what you've come through.
Yeah. But today I actually, before talking to you, which I do, sometimes I do every time to make sure if I am, I actually do vocal warm-ups before I go out.
Oh, such as? Can you give an example of one?
I was doing vocal warm-ups before this interview, because if I didn't, then my words might be fumbling everywhere going, or probably another thing I learned, like so many times I had to make sure and stuff like that, enunciating when on my lines to make sure I'm not enunciating. So that was my big thing I have to work on, big time from acting.
Mm-hmm. What's one of the example? Could you give us an example? Like, for instance, before you go out of the house or before you did this interview, what do you just maybe go through the alphabet just to pronounce each letter, or what do you do?
Oh, yeah. Sometimes when there's a word I have a hard time understanding, I had to look up to see, like on my phone, to find the pronunciation of the word to make sure I get it correctly. Sometimes there are words like, oh, okay, I think this is how it sounds. But then when someone tells me, oh, no, that's not how it sounds, I'm like, oh, I thought it is. Okay, sorry. Oops.
Mm-hmm.
So, but mostly when it comes to extremely complicated ones, especially when it comes to sci-fi, you really have to look those up big time on those big meanings.
And not only that, I'm sure, as you know, the fans know the correct pronunciation and everything.
Yeah.
They're such sticklers.
And also what I do is, just like I said in the beginning, when you're saying about how I prepare my lines for Jasmine, that's what I do, because for the lines, I record myself to make sure my enunciation has not come. So that's where I learned it right now, is to record myself on my phone to make sure I'm talking clean and clear with the script.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Well, you passed the test, that's for sure, Catherine.
Oh, yes. But sometimes they come back, and then I go, okay, I got to work on this again. I got to work on it. But I guess that happens when you have so much anxiety and pressure and overwhelmness that comes in. So when you do, you just have to find a way to get yourself back and find yourself and be calm and not just stress over it. Because if it does, then probably my enunciations and my grammar mushing around would come back from that habit. So sometimes when you have that anxiety happen, make sure to be careful on yourself.
Well, what an inspiration, Catherine, really. Now, before we say goodbye, what type of roles do you prefer? Do you prefer the more action, athletic type roles, or are you just as cool with camera right in your face, serious dialogue?
I would say pretty much like anything like those roles, But for me, for my next challenge, like which I'll need to prepare more, are those doctor and lawyers like in TV shows like that. I'm not ready for yet, but I like to work hard to get better at it till I'm fully ready.
Everybody, check out KatherineBlack.com. Catherine, I can't wait to see what happens with Jasmine because you are so great in End Titus. You know, we were able to see, you know, what's been done so far, and everyone it premieres Halloween, and each month there's a new episode. It's a cool, oh my gosh, a great series, and Catherine does a fantastic job as Jasmine. And I'll tell you, it's a pleasure to have spoken with you, Catherine. And I really hope we can do this again sometime. We actually maybe halfway through the series, like I said, we're going to have cast members back on again. So I look forward to talking. Yeah. Hopefully, you're available then.
And also, just letting you know, it's not just I'm also not just performing not just the Addams Family musical, but I'm also doing another virtual theater in November, which is a sci-fi play.
Oh, tell us, please. I mean, catch us up on everything. Yes. What else do you have?
So I'll be being a reporter, a challenging role, being a reporter in called Antigone, which is the Greek play, but more modern sci-fi kind of tone.
Mm-hmm. Oh wow, Antigone / sci-fi. Wow.
So now that gives me more pumping up on that one. Mm-hmm. So I have that one. And also my other one, I still work on not just End Titus, but I also am also regular in voicing Kimberly, the Pink Ranger, and Scorpina in the audio drama Power Rangers.
You know, I know you answered the question that you do get sleep, but I don't see how, Catherine. My gosh.
Oh, I do get sleep. I just have to figure out how to figure out normal life situations and doing gigs at the same time. So this week it's going to be more like, okay, I got to figure out what schedule I need to do.
Yeah, you've been doing the Power Rangers since it's got to be a couple, 2-3 years or so. That's been going.
Oh yes, and she's just like Jasmine. She's like very cutesy, but sort of badass at the same time.
Yeah, do you think, just off the top of my head, you know, Jasmine, like you described her, a cutesy character, but she's pretty savvy about what's going on. Like, you know, you're not going to pull the wool over my eyes. Is that a good way to describe Jasmine?
Yeah, I would say that. I would agree with that, yes. But compared to how I do Kimberly and Jasmine, like, well, Kimberly, she's still figuring herself out. But for Jasmine, she's already figuring herself out already. So Kimberly's still figuring it out herself.
Well, Catherine, what else? Anything else that we can talk about? Or I know we can go to the IMDb page, fans, and check out the filmography. But listen, I'll speak with you in a few months, halfway through the halfway through the series. So, Catherine, I can't thank you enough for taking the time out of your very busy schedule. It's been a pleasure being able to speak with you. I mean, we're on the same End Titus, but I don't think we've had any scenes together.
I don't think so.
No, I don't
like
think
I said,
so.
She's sneaking around yet, so I feel like she hasn't met the other guys yet. I'm sure soon. It's like they are. All three are together in a poster, but they haven't meet each other yet.
Yeah, Robert, Charles, and Jasmine, the three main characters of End Titus, and can't wait to see what else happens. Catherine, thank you so much for speaking with us. It's been a real pleasure.
Yeah, you too. It was so great. It's so great to hear and talk to you and everyone else who are enjoying End Titus.
End Titus is where it's at, and first episode, you'll be hooked, everybody.
Oh, yes, especially for Halloween.
Yes, how much more perfect can that
around.
be? Yeah. We'll speak again, Catherine. Thank you so much.
Right. You too.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.
Classic pop culture. It's classic pop culture. Hosted by Steve Ludwig and Ludwig. It's classic pop culture. It's classic pop culture. It's classic pop culture.
And now, folks, it's time to say goodnight. We sincerely appreciate your patronage and hope we've succeeded in bringing you an enjoyable evening of entertainment. Please drive home carefully and come back again soon. Good night.